In a world where CO2 emissions are growing constantly, one group from UTT Omero have decided to take a stand against CO2.
But we them men, boy.
Boy, them men always late, boy.
Boy, them men, them men know we have seminars presentation this morning, us.
It's long to come, boy.
Watch me, always me kill and Tim's, you know. Always. Watch me, you just give them men a project, tell them what to do, and all they have to do is come show up and present, you know. And they always late.
Wait, boy.
Just can't understand this man, boy.
Alright. Boy, we them, boy.
Wait, is them there?
Yeah, but look them men there, boy. I don't know what happened to them, boy. Kill and Tim's, you know, me kill and Tim's.
I think it's two of them come from the same place,
And
they come in here and the cabin carpool.
Watch man, yet both of them had to be driving, eh?
It's the worst, yeah? And this burning gas.
Right,
Yeah, watch them.
Watch them now. Watch them. How will it take so long, boy?
Boy, all they want, boy.
Boy?
Yes, the time was.
I can't play, boy.
Well, you had a
All doing?
Yeah, well, you had a present. How it take so long, huh?
The Tim's not rich too.
I get catching some traffic and premium rail not cheap. That machine take about a real long time for that $400 to come out, boy.
Wait, boy, $400.
Yeah.
Boy, you lucky you are diesel, yes?
What you for that barrel now?
Diesel,
You know how much money I just spend on
watch
diesel?
me.
How
Diesel.
much, boy?
High five. 98, boy.
Watch me. Diesel. That's real pollute the atmosphere, man.
That's true, eh?
I don't know if vehicle pollution is a big problem in Trinidad and Tobago.
But watch this car park, cause students here and the car park full of cars and
Yeah, no, not me, you know. We have to do something to see what causing this vehicle pollution problem. So here it is. Like, do some research and see what really going on.
that sounds like a plan.
That's a good idea.
Alright, so watch me. Like, you run upstairs, we're going to present, and then we go and do that thing, right?
Nice.
Alright, brothers.
Good day. Our group will be presenting about vehicular pollution for our engineering seminars project. This group consisting of Mr. Matthew Martin, Mr. Stefan Sylvester, Mr. Micah O'Neill, Mr. Michael Ramhurk, and myself, Mr. Kevin Lahori Smith. Next, Matthew will inform you more about why vehicular pollution is a problem in Trinidad and Tobago.
As we start our video, we could not have started in a much more perfect spot, showing the amount of cars in this parking lot. As you can see, the different cars is as diverse as our culture, and we see the amounts of different types of vehicles also. So we want to see and we want to answer in this report why and how is the public able to afford such commodities. Is it that our GDP is rising? Is it that our unemployment is dropping? That is the question that we want to ask today. We see different types of vehicles here. We also see that different types of vehicles also produce different amounts of CO2. We also see here that vehicles here have different engine sizes, and we want to know how much CO2 is emitted from these vehicles also. All those questions too, and questions about what are we doing with these carbon dioxide emissions from so much cars coming into Trinidad and Tobago. We see here that none of these vehicles here are CNG based or have been converted to CNG. So we want to see how we're going to progress into the future by converting some of these vehicles to CNG. Now, these vehicles here range from Japanese to Chinese, European based. So how are these cars so readily available in Trinidad and Tobago? And how are we be able to buy so much vehicles from different locations in the island? We also see here that we have two different types of vehicles that use different types of fuels. We see here that we have fuel being used by a car that uses premium gasoline in Trinidad and Tobago, that would be RON 97. We see a vehicle, a Nissan, that will most likely use super gasoline, RON 95, and we see a vehicle to the back of us that normally uses diesel. So we want to know how are these emissions from these vehicles different, and what can we do to decrease the amounts of emissions from all vehicles in Trinidad and Tobago. As we can see, as we can look around the parking lot, we see no vehicles that are CNG based again, and we can see actually no other vehicles that, let's say, Priuses, Toyota Priuses that came out that actually have a low emissions base. We see vehicles here that are 1.6 up, and we want to know how are you going to get to the public to realize that CO2 emissions is an important problem in Trinidad and Tobago. Next we have up Kevin Smith that's going to talk about the economics and the effect of economic growth on the CO2 emissions in Trinidad and Tobago.
Good day, my name is Mr. Kevin Harry Smith. Today we'll be talking about the rise in the economy in Trinidad and Tobago. Over the past several years in Trinidad and Tobago, the gross domestic product has just gone up, right? This means that this country basically has more money to spend, right? Due to industries like the oil and gas industry, the manufacturing industry, and many other industries. By this, employment, when this happened, employment went down, right? And Trinidadians would naturally have more money to spend, right? By doing this, people were able to afford more cars. Normally, back in 1997, after we did our research, one family used to have one car. Today, one family has probably 3 cars, a car per person. For example, we are currently in the University of Trinidad and Tobago Mira campus. This is the student car park. As you can see, even students drive to school. Back in 1997, this did not happen, right? And unemployment also went down, right? People had more money to spend. Also, the population density went up. There were more people living in Trinidad and Tobago, right? So, which needed more cars. After all this keep happening, more cars mean that more vehicles and more pollutants, right? Which produce CO2 gases, which produce other emitters, which pollute the atmosphere, right? Next, Micah will be talking about substitute and taxes on vehicles in Trinidad and Tobago.
Hi, my name is Micah, and I'll be talking about subsidy and taxes. From 1995 to present, there has been a high increase in the number of privately owned vehicles in Trinidad and Tobago. The increase in GDP, as previously mentioned, positively affected the purchasing power of the population. With this growth in purchasing power, distributors made cars more readily available in order to cope with the new demand for vehicles in the country. Since cars were in high demand, the number of distributors increased for both roll-on and roll-off, and also new vehicles. With this dramatic increase in the number of vehicles, 2 policies were implemented by the government. The first of these 2 policies were vehicle tax, where vehicles with a larger engine size are required to pay a higher engine tax. And secondly, there was implemented a policy that controls the age of the vehicles that are coming into the country. This policy requires the vehicle to be no older than 4 years. I now hand you over to my colleague Mikhail, who will be speaking to you about emissions from various types of vehicles.
Hi, good day. Well, basically today I'll be here to discuss the variation in emissions, CO2 gas in the various vehicles here. Well, first we start to my right. We have a 1.6 engine here. This is non-turbo. The emissions out of this is very small, right? Then we'll move on here to diesel. Now this vehicle here is diesel. It's a 2.5 with turbo, right? The emissions in this is very large, right? Then we'll move on here to other vehicle. Here we have the 1.8 turbo, right? Now the output power from this vehicle is the same as this one here, right? Due to the use of the turbos and the supercharger. Well, strategies to help maintain and control emission controls as follows, right? In the Mercedes-Benz, they use a technology called a blue efficiency technology, right? This also helps limit the emissions, right? Whereas in the Volkswagen, they use blue technology, right? And in other vehicles, they use these turbo and these superchargers to help lower emissions in various vehicles, right? In Trinidad here, they use mostly the turbo, right? This comes in most petrol vehicles as well as diesel, right? To help increase the output power of the vehicles. The use of the turbo is really mainly to maintain a low CC engine, whereas you can have a 1.6 with a turbo, right? And you can get the output power, whereas compared to a 2.5 to a 3.2 engine, as we can see here, between these two vehicles. Here, as we are comparing the both petrol vehicles, and they produce more CO2 than the diesel vehicle. Hence the reason being, the combustion in the both petrol vehicles have to be equally balanced into a ratio. Whereas in the turbo vehicle, the diesel, they use a linear conversion, right, where the air mixture has to be constant, right, with the use of the turbo, right. In high-end vehicles, they have some technology whereas they use the catalytic conversion, right. This is a device placed before the exhaust to help lower emissions in high-end vehicles. Sometimes they are available in lesser costly vehicles. Now in Trinidad, we're going to compare two vehicles, the Nissan GTR. The emissions produced by this vehicle is the highest in Trinidad and Tobago, as compared to an economic vehicle as the Toyota Yaris, which is compared to a table shown as to be one of the most low-emitting vehicles, which is petrol, that is. So today we compared this petrol vehicle, which is compact, right? Then we moved on to the commercial type, which is diesel, right? And then we have here the luxury vehicle, which is also petrol, right? Here now we are talking about with the diesel vehicles. If you look carefully, you can see some emission being given out here of CO2, right? Now in these vehicles, what can be used is the catalytic conversion or the filter, which is used in some vehicles to help lower the emission from the vehicles, right? That device is mainly used in several vehicles in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, in order to lower the emissions in the diesel vehicles, proper maintenance have to be done, right? Fuel filters must be changed on time. Now, it's recommended in Trinidad and Tobago that fuel filters should be changed approximately to 10,000 kilos, right? Air filters must be changed as well, right? Whereas versus the petrol vehicle, maintenance is much lower. Here we have a luxurious vehicle here, which is petrol. The maintenance is much lower compared to the diesel vehicle, right? Filters should just be changed like every 5 to 10,000 depending on the type of oil used. Well, today we dealt with 3 various types of vehicle, right? 2 petrol and 1 diesel, right? We compare the emissions from each one of them with the use of turbochargers as well as superchargers, how they are efficient, right? And now I'll pass you on to my other colleague, which is Stefan Sylvester, and he'll talk about CNG solutions.
Based on what was previously discussed by the team and the research that was conducted, it is the opinion that the use of CNG or compressed natural gas is the best solution to aid in the fight against CO2 emissions in Trinidad and Tobago. As you'd imagine with anything, there would be some disadvantages, all right? The first of which being the price required for the conversion to CNG is approximately about $10,000 currently, and there's also the additional drawback of loss of trunk space as a result. Additionally, there are a small amount of refueling stations in the country at present. At present, there are only 9 stations, which is insufficient. Natural gas in its pure form has a very low mileage, and as a result, the compressed natural gas is necessary to get the most out of the fuel. On the other hand, there are also significant advantages with the use of CNG. The first of which being that the high octane rating of CNG improves the performance and decreases the need for maintenance. The carbon dioxide or CO2 and other oxides that are present in other gases are reduced by almost 40% with the use of CNG. And finally, the technology also provides the means for additional biofuel applications to the current vehicles. As you can see, the advantages significantly outweigh the disadvantage in this regard. Right? There are also other options being explored, such as hybrids, which utilizes the use of electricity and petrol. Other options are currently available in the market. There's the use of biofuel, which utilizes the use of CNG and petrol engines. There's also hybrids, which utilizes electricity and petrol.
Good day, my name is Matthew Martins and I do computer engineering at the University of Trinidad and Tobago, and my part would be to collect data and present data in such a way that we could cure the problem once we know what the problem is and how it lies.
My name is Stefan Sylvester.
And I'm Michael O'Neill.
We are both of the manufacturing department, and we're going to be looking at ways to implement devices that would cut the cost of transferring from petrol to CNG.
Hi, good day. My name is Mikhail Ramarak.
And I'm Kevin Lahori Smith.
And we both are enrolled at the manufacturing department at UTT, and we'll be looking at testing devices to help measure emissions from various types of vehicles.
Thanks for watching. We are confident if we implement the changes that were previously discussed, our next 50 years will be just as bright
or even brighter than our previous 50.